Human genetic compatibility with reptilian possessions. Hello again, thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. I am Mari. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. It looks like I must say that every time now, for this channel's safety reasons, especially when touching this kind of subject. If humanoid reptiles were only a science fiction subject, they wouldn't have to impose their official version in such a strong way, as you can see, and it makes you wonder, what are they hiding? Perhaps that Wikidata is actually helping impulse the credibility of this subject, rather than making the public's perception go back towards the official version of things. After my two most recent videos on reptilians, I know many of you are wondering what genetic markers make one human person compatible with being used, possessed, or taken over remotely by a highly telepathic reptilian mind. As I said in my last video, not everyone can be compatible with harboring a lizard mind, or be susceptible to being used by it. As with everything, it is a question of compatibility of frequencies, as everything else is in the universe at large. People on Earth are conditioned to see genetics in a highly deterministic manner, as fate, and as inevitable. They think that they have certain genes and they are stuck with them for the rest of their lives. Ultimately, this is the direct empirical experience everyone has, as our experience dictates that we are stuck with certain characteristics, for example, gender, skin, eye and hair color, or the general attributes which define how our body looks. For example, we still can change of the significant, but subtler, genetic characteristics of our bodies. Remember that all changes in the material world are slow, so everything we wish to transform in ourselves takes time, as we perceive it, yet from more expanded points of view, all those changes occur in the blink of an eye, and they are all possible to change, including those I mentioned above which we feel are immutable, at least as long as our present incarnation lasts. Remember, time is relative. Genes are not fixed blueprints, and they are not immutable as they change all the time to reflect what the consciousness who is wearing them is dictating using frequencies, existential vibration which is ruled by the subject's thoughts. Genes turn on and off, and even new ones are created when the vibrational conditions are appropriate, and this is nothing alien, as it has been explained in detail by the new human science of epigenetics. Genes are like little receptors, or antennas which bring thoughts, ideas, and vibrations in the etheric realms, into the material world. Genes are the first way the subject's soul manifests its thoughts into the material realm, as the biological body he or she is using. They are how each individual cell knows what to do as it receives the thought vibrations of the soul. My point is that no one is doomed to be controlled by reptilian minds, by any other kind of mind, or astral entities, in all their variants. It all boils down to being a vibrational match to one or another of them. So if you are a high vibrational starseed, you have nothing to worry about, as you are not vulnerable to that kind of astral negative influence, because all those fear you, precisely because of that. They cannot influence or possess you directly, so they end up using other indirect methods to deviate you from your life path, and lower your vibration, so you can be influenced more easily by them. This is the subject of another video, where we will be going into how entities and the matrix itself go after high vibrational people, as targeted individuals. But in this video, I'm talking about direct reptilian possession, which is the same as dark entity possessions, which in other words, are also variants of so-called demonic possessions. As I said before about demons and dark astral entities, If you do not want to be possessed, influenced, or have anything to do with reptilian minds, remotely controlling you, then don't act like one. This last phrase is probably the most important one in today's entire video. If you don't want demons and dark entities like reptilians to use you, then don't act like one. You must know and you must be aware of how they act, and of the dirty manipulation tricks they use, and then you must be strong enough, and with a strong enough will, to resist the temptations they will throw at you. If you can notice, I'm saying things which are very similar to what priests and exorcists say, because their theological interpretation is based on these same principles, but I am telling you all this from an agnostic point of view, in which I'm using thought and vibrations as the clue to fend off that same kind of negative remote astral influence. Demons from the theological point of view are dark astral egregore entities for me, but they are the same thing and phenomenon, and negative reptilian remote possessions will fall in this same group and category. We are all susceptible to being influenced by beings in non-material realms, the astral ones, but it is the vibrations which are produced by our thoughts, which make us compatible with being influenced by one or another kind of being, good ones and bad ones alike, as it all comes down to what thoughts we are having, which determine who we are. If we behave like light beings, as members and agents of good, the influence from the etheric side will be in kind, where we will be guided softly by our spirit guides, and our higher self, because we behave as so, because we are, or have become one of them. This goes for receiving benevolent, positive, loving, wise influence by the positive reptilians and their energy, if you are their kin and if you want, because as I explained in my previous video, all beings exist in duality, so there are good reptilians as there are bad ones, as with any other species. Many people who are successful at playing the sick matrix game on Earth are so because they have given those beings rites of pass, they have accepted being influenced and helped by those dark beings, in an open direct way, or without knowing, accepting rituals in which they were tricked into accepting, all to satisfy their greed and need for fame and power. This happens in all places and institutions on Earth which have power over the human population, but especially in those with higher influence, such as high banking, show and music business, medicine, and political organizations. Remember that many times those dark entities, including the negative reptilians, are working in an astral way through human organic portals, which are empty shells, which only look human but are not. Reptilians who manipulate through the astral can also be disincarnates, with no physical reptile body, and who are using a human shell, through which they can manipulate society in their favor. It is said that reptilians work through certain bloodlines and genetics, such as Earth Royals. This is because those families have long-term agreements with those entities, in which they continuously do rituals and behave as their reptile overlords, therefore moving and activating their human genetics towards being compatible with the lizards and other dark astral entities. Those astral creatures, with or without a physical body, work with other lower astral entities of all kinds, so they do communicate among them, therefore opening the pathway for human people in their vibration and who have agreed to work with them, so the astral entities help those humans fulfill their purposes. This is why many hideous negative people, and tyrants of all sorts, seem to get away with all their horrible projects, and it is because they are receiving help from those lower astral beings, who at least do not interfere with their projects as they normally do with the rest of the population. As they say, they get help from those lower astral entities, who are basically demons, in exchange for their souls, and this is easily explained because as those human people in places of influence and power are moving away in frequency from source, and into dark realms where they can only exist as egregores, creations spawning from the human population's greatest fears. Furthermore, those human people who have made agreements with those dark entities are eventually taken over by them entirely, becoming dark entities themselves, or their soul, or their physical body's connection to Source will be terminated, and therefore inhabited only by a dark evil entity. Therefore that kind of people literally have no soul. Are you afraid of evil entity and bad reptilian influence? Don't be. Simply choose to be the light being over the demon. Don't act like one and you will be safe. There are no genetic markers which doom you to be influenced by them. It all comes down to your thoughts, your vibration, and who you are. Humans may look alike, but inside they are very different, as they are physical bodies which are designed to be compatible with a very wide variety of vibrational frequencies, and therefore of souls. So, forget about appearances. Not everyone out there is human. Modern science wants to explain all this away using dubious ideas, such as mental illnesses and disorders of the mind, which cause behaviors they relate to psychopaths and sociopaths. But the reason behind all that is a lot simpler, as those people are really demons, no matter how charming they may be on the outside, as that is only another one of their bag of tricks. This also means that many of the social adaptation problems people face simply come from a frequency and vibrational incompatibility of their souls with such a low vibrational, confusing place, such as Earth and its matrix realm. And there is where the challenge of the starseed resides. It is learning to keep their frequency and vibration, no matter what, and that is to keep their souls despite all the atrocities and temptations they will be subjected to, while having an incarnation on Earth. Humankind is literally a zoo full of different kinds of souls, who come from very different experiences, which created them in their past lives, sometimes far away from Earth, and which must learn to coexist in that artificially created and maintained, existential realm. This subject will continue. Thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love, your friend, Mari Swaruu.